Do you know what true loneliness feels like? It's the kind of isolation where, even though you're surrounded by people, not a single voice reaches you, as if you're trapped inside a cold glass box. It's the despair of having your goodwill and kindness exploited as a matter of course, not only unappreciated, but tossed aside like trash. This is the record of the hellish days I endured. And it's the story of my fight, how, carrying my beloved father's final lesson in my heart, I broke free from the curse called family that had stolen everything from me and reclaimed my real life. My name is Tracy Simpson. I'm 29 years old. Up until 2 years ago, my life sparkled as brightly as the California sunshine in Silicon Valley. I was a software engineer at a world-renowned IT company, earning over $90,000 a year. The code I wrote was the beating heart of apps used by hundreds of millions around the world. That fact gave me endless pride and energy. I lived on the 25th floor of a modern high-rise with panoramic views of the Bay Bridge in San Francisco. I shared the place with my best friend from college, Jenny. Hey Tracy, check this out. This startup sounds cool. They're using AI to analyze wine flavors. That does sound fun, but I think I'd rather write code myself and help create the future. Jenny, a financial analyst, saw the world from a completely different perspective than I did. The time we spent together on the living room sofa at night, sipping wine and talking about our jobs and dreams, those were treasures beyond comparison. My small dream was to buy my own little condo in the Bay Area by the time I turned 30. To make that happen, I diligently put my bonuses into SP 500 index funds and steadily grew my assets. Jenny would laugh and say, "You're way too cautious." But I kept building the blueprint for my own little castle in my mind, determined to earn it by myself. As for my family back home, I thought we had a peaceful and healthy relationship, seeing each other at Thanksgiving and Christmas. I knew my father ran a small precision parts factory and that his chronic back pain had gotten worse. Sometimes I'd hear him coughing painfully on the phone or my mother sighing, "Your dad's overdoing it again." Those things sounded distant, almost like someone else's life in my faraway hometown. Back then, I truly believed that maintaining this kind of physical distance was necessary for my own mental health. That is, until the day my phone rang with Mom on the caller ID. I had no idea that the ringtone would signal the end of my bright paradise. Tracy. My mother's voice on the other end was nothing like her usual cheerful tone. It was strained and fragile, like she was walking on thin ice. "Can you come home tonight? I have something important to discuss. It's about your dad." The moment I heard her voice, I sensed something was seriously wrong. I lied and told my boss I suddenly had an urgent presentation, explained the situation, and left work early. I got on the freeway and steered my car south. In the rearview mirror, the skyscrapers of San Francisco grew smaller and smaller, while the familiar suburban scenery spread out ahead. The sunset outside the window looked ominous, almost like blood seeping from a wound. The road I'd traveled so many times as a child, filled with memories, felt like a path to the gallows that day. When I parked in front of the house and opened the door, the inside was eerily silent. Normally I'd hear the TV or my mother in the kitchen. Instead, my parents sat at the dining table looking pale, with an enormous stack of documents in front of them. My father, still only in his early 60s, looked like he'd aged 10 years in a few months. His once broad shoulders now seemed shrunken. My mother, stressed as always, kept gripping the tablecloth until her knuckles turned white. On the table were envelopes stamped "Final Notice" in red and factory financial reports crammed with numbers. What happened? When I sat across from them, my father cleared his throat, a heavy, weary sound, then began to speak in a thin, dry voice, barely more than a whisper. "Tracy, I'm sorry, the factory, it's done for." His voice had lost all confidence. "For years now, our main clients have switched to cheaper Chinese factories. Even if I wanted to lower costs by buying new equipment, the banks won't lend us any more money. And my back, I can't even stand at the machines to do micrometer adjustments anymore. The doctor says I have to quit entirely. Last month, I used everything we had left to pay retirement money to the last few employees. We can't pay the mortgage anymore." My mother confessed this as if she were admitting a crime. There weren't even tears in her eyes. Sometimes, when despair is that deep, people can't even cry. I'm working part-time at a supermarket, but I only make about $1,500 a month. The mortgage alone is $2,000. We have no idea how we'll pay next month. A sharp, icy pain stabbed my stomach. This house, built by my father's own hands, was full of memories. The backyard where he taught me to ride a bike. The warm kitchen where my mother always baked apple pies. All of that could be taken away foreclosed. My paradise was starting to crumble before my eyes. A few days later, my father asked me to come alone to a notary office, a dusty old building on the edge of the city center. With trembling hands, he asked me to sign the deed to transfer the house into my name. Listen, Tracy. He gripped my hand firmly. The hands that used to lift anything with ease now trembled and felt weak. I'm so sorry it's come to this, but please hear me out. Your mother has always doted on your sister Allison beyond reason. Allison is a kind girl, but she's naive. Her sense of money is, well, totally off. Your mother spoiled her and never set boundaries. That's my failure as a father. When I'm gone, there may come a time when your kindness is used against you. That's why I want this house to be put under your name. It's the last shield to protect yourself. Then, from his jacket, he took out a small, old leather trunk key and pressed it into my hand. Keep this key. The trunk itself is hidden in the back of the basement wine cellar. If, and only if, you ever feel completely cornered, if Allison takes advantage of your kindness and you feel you're at your limit, only then, open it. Until then, never open it. Promise me, Tracy. Overwhelmed by the depth of his love and the fear in his eyes, I couldn't say anything. So I made up my mind to let go of everything: my career, my freedom with friends, even my modest personal dreams. On the day I moved out of my Silicon Valley apartment, Jenny hugged me tightly. Tracy, you're never alone. Call me anytime. No matter what happens, I'm on your side. With those words in my heart, I returned to my childhood bedroom. And so began my days supporting my family, carrying the heavy secret that I had become the legal owner of the house and the mystery of a trunk I was forbidden to open. Life at home was quiet and uneventful. My company let me switch to full remote work, and almost all my income went toward the mortgage, utilities, groceries, and my father's growing medical bills. I'd get up at 5 a.m., code for 2 hours, make breakfast, care for my father, spend the day in online meetings and development, take my father to the hospital in the evening, then work again late into the night. I gradually lost touch with my Bay Area friends, and my world shrank to the size of this little house. The hands that once wrote code to change the world now spent time measuring out my father's medicine in between typing. Still, just seeing my father at peace, rocking in his favorite chair, made me happy. Tracy, don't push yourself too hard. You have your own life to live. I'm really, truly sorry. What are you talking about, Dad? I'm doing this because I want to. Keeping my promise to my father, that was my lifeline. But that brief peace didn't last long. A year after I moved back home, my father, as if his final duty was complete, quietly passed away. Live your own life. Those were the last words he left me. His death was like the sun vanishing from this house. On the day of the funeral, my sister Allison showed her face for the first time in ages. But instead of mourning, she said in front of all the relatives, "Well, now that Dad's gone, what are we going to do with this house? Good thing Tracy has a high-paying job. Guess the mortgage is safe now." Her callous words felt like a thorn in my heart. I desperately supported my grieving mother and took care of everything around the house because of my promise to Dad. I kept telling myself I have to protect this house and Mom. Then, 6 months after my father's death, the real storm struck without warning, kicking down the door of our home. One Saturday afternoon, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, there was Allison with her 2 children, 8-year-old Lucas and 6-year-old Katie. Behind her were piles of suitcases and cardboard boxes. "Hey, Tracy, can you help me with the bags? We're moving in today." Her completely one-sided declaration left me speechless. What? Wait, at least give me some notice. Don't be so cold, we're family. My husband and I got divorced. I have nowhere to go. It's your job as my big sister to help me out." Before I could reply, Allison shoved her kids into the house. My mother, in tears, welcomed her daughter and grandkids back as if it were the happiest surprise. "Oh, Allison, you poor thing. From now on, we'll all be together." From that day, my life descended loudly into hell. Allison had always been the princess of the family, showered with our parents' love. She acted like it was her right, that I supported the household finances, always treating me with an air of entitlement. "Tracy, you're living the single life and making good money. It's only right that you do more for the family, right? That's what your earning is for." That became her constant refrain. Expenses for food and utilities soared, and Allison's demands escalated by the day. "Katie wants to take piano lessons. Can you cover the tuition? Lucas needs a new soccer uniform for his team. Can you pay for it? Look at this cute dress. Buy it for me, Tracy. Oh, by the way, I set my phone bill to be charged to your card from this month on." Of course I said no. But it was like my entire salary was turning into an ATM to feed their endless wants. The worst part was when her kids made my home office their personal playground. While I was in a critical video meeting with a client, they'd burst in yelling, rip up important papers, and climb on my desk. More than once, as I was deep into coding, they'd suddenly pull the power cord out. "Please, I need some peace. I'm working on something important." If I raised my voice, Allison would yell from the living room, eyes glued to her phone. "Oh, relax, kids are supposed to be energetic. Maybe if you weren't so uptight, you'd actually get married. You need to be more open-hearted." My mother said nothing, only offering a troubled smile and excusing Allison. "The kids are just excited to be home again, that's all." One day, my boss called me on a video meeting with a stern look. "Tracy, we got a call from your sister." She said, "My sister's mentally unstable and shouldn't be trusted with key projects. She takes her stress out on the kids at home. Care to explain? Don't bring your family problems into the workplace." My face was drained of color. Allison was now actively trying to destroy my career. That night, when I confronted her, she answered without a hint of remorse. "Well, it's true, isn't it? You're always on edge, always snapping at the kids. I was just worried about you, you know? You should be thanking me." I ran to my room and called Jenny, my best friend, in tears. "I don't think I can take this anymore. Allison seems to hate me so much." Jenny frowned on the screen. "Tracy, this isn't normal. This isn't just her taking advantage. She's always been like this, remember? She used to break your toys when you wouldn't give them to her. It's the same pattern. Do you even know the real reason for her divorce? I bet there's more to it. Let me play detective for you." Then, the final straw happened. The night before the final presentation for a project I'd spent months on, as I was making last checks on my materials late into the night, the kids burst in with juice in hand. As I shouted, "Get out, that's dangerous," Lucas slipped quite theatrically and dumped orange juice all over my laptop keyboard. The screen flickered, made a snapping sound, and went dead. "What have you done? I need those files for tomorrow." I rushed to the living room, shouting, only for Allison, still glued to her phone, to shrug. "Oh, well, accidents happen. They're just kids, Tracy. You shouldn't leave important things lying around where kids are. It's your fault, really." I couldn't believe it. No one apologized. No one cared about my despair. That night, I begged a coworker for help, went to his place at 3 a.m. to borrow a spare laptop, and spent the night restoring my data from the cloud. From the living room, I could hear Allison and my mother laughing at a late-night comedy show. The humiliation and loneliness etched into my heart that night left a scar that would never fully heal. In the midst of this hell, I was assigned to a 2-week business trip to London. It was a temporary but perfect escape from the suffocating house, a gift from heaven. At my hotel by the Thames, I finally got to be a professional again. I worked undisturbed in a quiet room, spent my evenings alone in old pubs with a pint of ale. Ironically, it was only thousands of miles away from my family that I was able to find any peace. During those 2 weeks, I never once called home, and no one called me either. When I returned, stepping off the plane, I felt liberated for the first time in ages. I took a taxi home. But when the cab pulled up to my driveway, I couldn't believe my eyes. On the lawn my father had always kept immaculate, there was a pile of black garbage bags, tossed aside as if they were nothing. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't trash, it was my stuff. My clothes, my cherished technical books, my college diploma, photos with Jenny, even the silver picture frame of Dad and me, everything I owned was carelessly stuffed into garbage bags. The silver frame was cracked, my father's smiling face distorted. With shaking hands, I tried the front door. Taped, there was a rough note. Tracy, we've decided to use this house for Allison and her kids, since she's divorced and in need. You earn good money, so go rent yourself an apartment. Your things are out in the yard. Mom. My mind went blank. I felt the world crumble beneath my feet. Kindness, sacrifice, love, everything I'd given to this house was bagged up and tossed aside as worthless. The locks had been changed too. That's when I noticed it. The trunk key my father entrusted to me, the one I always wore around my neck, was gone. I was sure I'd left it in my dresser drawer before my business trip. It was Allison. She must have stolen it. What did she think was in that trunk? I didn't cry. Instead, from deep inside me, a silent but molten rage began to rise. It wasn't sadness, it was a cold, ruthless awakening. The gentle part of me died there on that lawn, together with the cracked photo of my father. Dad, this is the moment you warned me about, isn't it? Something inside me snapped, quietly but irreversibly. From then on, it was war. To my own surprise, I was calm. I ignored the bags on the lawn, quietly walked away, and called the taxi back. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed my father's old attorney, Mr. Clark. This is Tracy Simpson, Mr. Clark. The daughter of... Ah, Tracy, is everything all right? Mr. Clark, it's time. Please execute the plan. All of it. Mr. Clark replied firmly, I understand. Your father anticipated this day would come. Let's begin the counterattack. I checked into a nearby business hotel and made it my operations base. While my attorney handled the legal procedures, I opened my laptop and started contacting multiple real estate agents online. I selected the most effective, top-performing agent who could sell the house quickly and at a high price. My whiteboard soon filled with a list of tasks, key contacts, and a timeline. Just then, a message came in from Jenny. Tracy, I've uncovered something big. My detective work paid off. I tracked down a friend of Allison's ex on social media and messaged him. He was suspicious at first, but hey, I can act when I have to. I said my friend is suffering because of Allison and got him to open up. The reason for the divorce? Allison tried to embezzle money from her husband's company. She's being sued for fraud and owes a huge amount of money. She must be seriously desperate for cash. Suddenly, all the pieces fit together. Allison's goal was the house. She wanted to sell it or use it as collateral to pay off her debts. That's why she drove me out and stole the trunk key, probably thinking it contained some inheritance or valuables. I immediately contacted the bank and used part of my father's life insurance payout to pay off the mortgage in full. The bank staff were surprised, but I signed the papers without hesitation. Now the house was mine, free and clear, with no debt attached. Everything was ready. On the appointed day, I arrived at what used to be my house with a large moving truck, the real estate agent, Mr. Fisher, and, just in case of any emotional outbursts, 2 police officers as neutral third parties. Planted firmly in the middle of the yard was a brand new sign. For sale. I rang the doorbell and Allison appeared in her pajamas. What the hell are you doing here? How dare you show your face? And what's with that sign? Call Mom, too. I'll explain everything. My voice was so cold and steady, even I was surprised. In the living room, my mother and Allison glared at me. What is the meaning of this, Tracy? How could you pull something so outrageous? My mother shrieked. Without a word, I slid a document from my briefcase onto the table. It was the deed. My name, Tracy Simpson, was clearly listed as the legal owner. I'll explain. Before Dad passed away, he transferred this house to me through all the proper legal steps. In other words, this is truly my house. I could see my mother's and Allison's faces turn as white as a sheet of paper. That's a lie. There's no way, Allison screamed. But then she sneered triumphantly. So what? If you don't pay the mortgage, the bank will repossess the house anyway. Even if you kick us out, you'll get nothing. Serves you right. I looked at her with genuine pity. No, Allison, the mortgage doesn't exist anymore. I paid it off in full with Dad's insurance money. The house is now completely mine, free and clear. That means you two are illegally occupying someone else's property. You're trespassing. What? True despair washed over both their faces. I'll be generous. You have 1 week. If you don't leave by then, these officers will remove you as unlawful occupants. Understood? My mother burst into tears, pleading, Tracy, please, we're family, aren't we? But I cut her off coldly. Did you ever say those words while you were stuffing my things into garbage bags? Behind me, the movers I'd hired began loading up the bags from the yard, treating them with care. It felt like my dignity was finally being restored. I could have taken back all the furniture from the house, but in the end, I only reclaimed the pieces I had purchased myself, leaving the rest behind as a final gesture of goodwill. My mother and Allison could only stand there, dumbstruck. But devils don't die so easily. As the deadline approached, Allison launched a counterattack on social media. Please help us. I'm at a loss with my sick mother and 2 kids. My cruel, heartless sister who made it big in Silicon Valley is throwing us out onto the street, taking away our only home. Her tearful, cleverly edited video spread like wildfire. My face and even my workplace were posted, and I was bombarded with hateful comments. Even the company's contact form was flooded with abuse. Murderer. Monster who abandons her family. Go to hell. I was completely isolated. My coworkers avoided me, and I was on the verge of being removed from projects. In my despair, Mr. Clark, my attorney, contacted me. Tracy, please listen calmly. Your father left me something else, just in case Allison's lies ever cornered you socially. Here is a duplicate trunk key and a letter. That night, with my attorney and my best friend Jenny, I slipped back into the house, which was legally mine, and went down to the musty old basement wine cellar. Just as my father said, hidden in the back was the battered leather trunk. With a spare key, I opened the rusty lock. Inside were years of my father's diaries and a single USB stick. When I plugged it into my laptop, there was just one audio file. I pressed play. Allison's hysterical voice filled the room. It was a recording of her arguing with her ex-husband on the phone. So what if I take a little from your company? It's not a crime if nobody finds out. Shut up. Once I sell that house, it'll all be fine. First, I have to get rid of my do-gooder sister. Dad's hiding something, but that'll be mine too. Jenny murmured, Wow, your dad was no ordinary guy, was he? In my father's diary, he wrote, I happened to overhear Allison on the phone with her ex-husband. How did she turn out this way? Maybe this recording will one day be a shield to protect Tracy. It's a painful task, but I'll leave it behind for her. And then his final letter to me. To my beloved Tracy. If you are reading this, it means you're fighting against Allison. I'm truly sorry for all the pain you've had to endure. I was always afraid that your kindness might someday come back to hurt you. But I believe with all my heart that you have the strength to stand on your own 2 feet and carve out your own path. This evidence is my final weapon to protect you. Use it as you need. But don't forget, true victory isn't about defeating someone else. It's about finding your own happiness. I love you, Dad. The tears wouldn't stop. The words my father wrote in ink blurred as my tears fell. He had seen through everything. Armed with the greatest weapon of all, my father's love, I steeled myself for the final battle. In that moment, my idea of revenge transformed from destruction to taking my life back. Through my lawyer, I delivered a final ultimatum to Allison. I was prepared to submit the audio recording, proof of her debts, and a copy of my father's diary to her ex-husband's legal team, the police, and every social media platform where she had spread lies. If you delete all your posts immediately, publish a public apology, and leave the house, I'll leave whether or not to file criminal fraud charges up to your own conscience. Allison finally gave in. According to my lawyer, when confronted with the evidence, she went pale and collapsed. She deleted all her posts, took her children by the hand, and left the house in silence. But the story didn't end there. With the decisive evidence anonymously provided by me, Allison's ex-husband's lawyers pressed criminal charges for attempted fraud. Once all the furniture was gone and the house stood empty, I faced my mother alone. Tracy, I was wrong. Allison was always so precious to me, and you were so responsible. I guess I took advantage of that. Please forgive me. My mother fell to her knees in tears. I spoke quietly. It's too late, Mom. Before you were Allison's mother, you were supposed to be mine too. But not once did you stand by me. When I was called a murderer on social media, what did you do? When your daughter was suffering, you chose to side with Allison's lies and pushed me even further. When my things were stuffed in garbage bags, you were the one who left me that note. I'll never forget that. She couldn't say anything. I can't forgive you, but I'm not going to spend my life hating you either. Our relationship ends here today. Goodbye. In the end, I loaded only my father's old rocking chair onto the truck and left the house of memories without once looking back. Years passed. Now, I live in the Bay Area condo I once dreamed about. From the floor-to-ceiling windows, I can see the Golden Gate Bridge shimmering in the distance. At work, I've led big projects and been promoted to team leader. And using a small patent my father left behind, I started a weekend NPO called Dad's Legacy, where I teach programming to underprivileged kids. One day, I saw a young girl coding with sparkling eyes and recognized myself in her. I wanted to carry on my father's spirit of giving to others in a healthy, positive way. Next spring, I'll be marrying a kind architect I met at the farmer's market. When I told him my whole story, he held my hand and said, "You're a fighter. I admire you so much. From now on, let me be the one to protect you." As for Allison, she was convicted of attempted fraud and sent to prison. Her children are with their father now, and I hear they refuse to see her. My mother lives alone in a cheap apartment in the suburbs. I sent her just enough money through my lawyer to cover the basics, but I've cut off all direct contact. I imagine she's now facing her own mistakes in solitude. One sunny afternoon, I was out on the balcony of my new home, clinking champagne glasses with my fiancé and my best friend Jenny. "Here's to making it through hell and back," Jenny said, hugging me tightly. In the corner of the room, my father's old rocking chair sat in the sunlight, calm and still. I placed my hand gently on the wood and whispered in my heart. What my father truly left me wasn't a house or money. It was the strength to stand tall and claim my own happiness no matter what I faced. The pain of cutting ties with my past became the rich soil for a new future to grow. Thank you, Dad. My long battle is finally over. And now my real life is just beginning.